Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 9:30. Members of the public have been invited to participate in this meeting of council by attending in person at the council chambers at the municipal office located at 10227 Ilderton Road in Coldstream, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public may also access the meeting live stream on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we're gathering on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in a spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We don't have any additions to the agenda this morning, so I'm going to look to members of council. Are there any pecuniary interests that need to be disclosed? And I don't see any hands. So next up, we can move to delegations and presentations. The first item today is the 2025 Middlesex County Warden and Local CAO Council update. Middlesex County Warden Brian Ropp and the CAO Paul Shipway are here in person to present an update to council. Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to turn mine off and get them up. And it's green, and the floor is yours when you're ready, sir.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor DeVitt, for the opportunity to come here before council and staff. Appreciate the opportunity, and you've made introductions already. And Paul is going to lead this delegation and lead that. So go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, thank you very much first for having us out here. We've been doing the road tour with all the local municipalities, and I guess save the best for last. So this is Warden Ropp's last delegation out to the local municipalities. So if we can skip ahead a few slides. Organizational updates. Obviously, the county has had a significant amount of change in the past 8 to 12 months for the first time in over 26 years, I think it is. There's a new CAO, and it's a big privilege to serve council in that role. And then almost immediately, we did some organizational restructuring. We had a department called Community Services and Financial Services, and it was an unwieldy portfolio. So we divided that into 2 specific portfolios. Director of Finance and Director of Human Services is a rebrand of Social Services. And really, that's twofold. One, we needed to enhance our financial management. You're one of the leaders in Southwestern Ontario in the province in budgeting here, and ours had a little bit left to be desired. So we're putting some enhanced focus on our financial services. And then in partnership with the City of London, we deliver homelessness prevention, childcare services, and OW. And we wanted to ensure that we could enhance the way we deliver those services. So Joe Windsor serves as our Director of Human Services right now. And he's actually going out meeting with local municipalities and communicating out those services so all of our residents can have access to those. And we can try to tackle some of those challenges. Subsequent to that, our Director of Human Resources submitted her resignation so she could go travel the world. And we've posted for that position. And hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll make an announcement on that position. So there's been a significant amount of administrative churn at the county. And really that's allowed us to sort of realign our our senior leadership team vision for what we're focused on. And it's really a concept of change and change management and ensuring that we're working with all of our partners to deliver positive outcomes to our communities. So we'll continue working that way and work to re-engage more successfully with our local municipalities and try to deliver those outcomes. In line with that, from a governance perspective, County Council went through a fairly comprehensive process to update the strategic plan and really take our strategic plan from sort of a vinyl trophy that sits onto the shelf to something that's actually tangible and can support deliverables within the community. Again, we focused on economic development, collaboration and partnerships, sustainable infrastructure development, and adaptability and agility. And I think the economic development one is one that I know around this table people have been involved with. The county has a higher portion of residential assessment base than maybe some of our neighbor counties. And we need to, if it's the direction of county council, which it is, make a concerted effort to diversify that, to bring in more industrial taxation. It'll bring in jobs as well, but it should help alleviate some of the pressure on residential properties. So we're looking at ways to more effectively do that. County council went through a fairly long process of determining if they would deliver economic development services in-house through a department or through economic development corporation as a standalone. And ultimately, they determined they'll continue doing that through an in-house department with a refocus on tangible deliverables and to support that diversification of the assessment base. So we're excited about that. And I think one of my later slides talks about one of the programs that we're most excited about on that. And this is it. Perfect. So the County Improvement Support Program is sort of a rebrand and enhancement of an existing program. For a number of years, County Council has allocated money to support local CIPs. So each local municipality can determine what they would like to incentivize and how, and then it was an application process to get that refunded. Now, in past practice, that was really focused on accessibility enhancements and facade improvements, which are great and do contribute overall to community well-being. But what we wanted to try to do as the county is push that further. So County Council approved the framework for this program with the allocations going to budget for 2026 here, where we maintain that general property revitalization stream, but reduce the funding in that, and then introduce 2 streams of funding for industrial and commercial development and housing related development. Each of those streams are originally contemplated with $100,000 in it to be eligible for local municipalities. We did hear from some of our councillors that that may not be sufficient to start, so we'll see how budget process goes. And then on top of that, a robust framework for tax incremental financing grants where we would match the parameters of local municipal initiatives for both industrial, commercial, and housing related. So we're adding tools to the toolbox there, and we'll see how that goes, and excited to get the budget before County Council and see what those programs look like. But I think that's a good start on that. And I know the province has just made a few changes to the CIP framework, but this program should be able to continue that way. In alignment with that, we're continuing to try to keep up to date to the ever-changing provincial planning world. I know our team here is working diligently on that. So OPA number 4 is a comprehensive update to the county official plan. It's really focused on agriculture, economy, housing, and growth. A draft was submitted to the province in July. We went through the Planning Advisory Committee, which is our internal process. And then statutory meetings and an open house are scheduled for late November, early December. And because of that, County Council is expected to consider this in mid-January. And we'll see where that goes from there. And then we'll go through the process of continuing to adapt to the rest of the ongoing provincial planning process. But we're excited to get that one knocked off and move on to what's next. In alignment with County Council updating their strategic plan, the library strategic plan was also updated. We're extremely proud of our county libraries and how, especially at our comprehensive branches, they deliver those services in the community. I had the opportunity last week to go to Library Day that was hosted here at the Wellness Center, where all the staff come together and do a training session. It's a beautiful facility. And one of the key items within this is looking at our next 25 years of library services and how we deliver those in the community. So there'll be a comprehensive master plan that will go through that process of looking at how we deliver services and where we deliver services and what type of branches. So the library board approved that within their budget. It's been pushed up to County Council, and we're excited to get that one running. And I know there'll be extensive engagement with all of our local municipalities and community partners as we go through that process as well. Yeah, next is asset management. More so, we're just proud to get this compiled in some of the public-facing dashboards we have on that. County Council and the county obviously doesn't deal with the amount of infrastructure that a Middlesex Center would deal with water and wastewater infrastructure specifically, but linear assets as it pertains to county roads, there's, I think, 852 centerline lane kilometers of that, and it has a very, very high PCI. Our roads and our bridges, we have over 253 structures, is really where a lot of our headaches will come from. So we're putting together a fairly robust advocacy package on that. But this document will be better integrated in our budget on a go forward to look at how we can fund those. So we just like to point that out and highlight those dashboards when we're out and about. And the next slide is more just something that we don't really talk about enough at the county. We own over 1,000 hectares of forest and woodlands. And what we did as part of the asset management plan update for this year was actually include a natural asset valuation and quantify the value that it provides, from carbon sequestration to stormwater management, and then also the economic value through the trails. So we're excited about that, and we're going through the 20-year forest management plan update. So these forests provide those environmental benefits, but there's also economic benefit as they're selectively harvested to continue generating revenue over a long period of time. So that is part of our plan, and I know Mark and the team shared some of the data about that and about the value of the county forest. So just a service area we don't highlight that we really just wanted to showcase some of the outcomes from. Yeah, next, new governance and administration building. A number of years ago, County Council sold the county building and the health unit beside it. And ultimately in 2025, that's this year, early in the year, County Council closed on moving forward with construction of a new governance and administrative building. It's about a third of the size of the existing facility, and it's located on a parcel of land that's on the same campus as MLPS in South London. It'll be a more modern space that enhances accessibility and efficiency by providing those flex environments. Right now, target occupancy date is November 2026. You know, construction is an interesting thing at this point in time, so we'll see how that works. But we've put a project website up on it, and County Council will be receiving updates on it as we move forward. So that project, I think the basement, the partial basement, the first floor, and the staircase is done at this point in time. But it's an exciting large project, and we'll see how it times out on actual occupancy date, because there's an interesting opportunity for the last meeting of council in the existing building and the first meeting of the new council in the next building. Lastly, this year is Middlesex County's 225th anniversary. So we've been trying to mark that in a number of different ways. I don't actually think we had a fun fact yesterday at council, but we did have 5 students come in to participate in the Warden for a Day process. They learned a lot about local government. Actually, I think 4 of the 5 were from Medway, and we've actually had the opportunity to go to Medway careers class a couple times now and speak to them. And they always have lots of questions about the levels of government and whatnot. So it's a great process. We also have done a tree giveaway, and there'll be a number of other events going on throughout the year to celebrate the 225th anniversary of Middlesex County. And with that, I'll turn it back to Brian, and we're happy to answer any questions, but we appreciate the opportunity for collaboration and look forward to continuing the discourse on a go forward.
Okay, thank you for that update. I will look to members of council. Oh, okay, who's pushed the button first? Okay. Oh, there you go.
Good,
I'm just
thank
gonna
you.
take them in order.
Yep. Few, just for clarification on the CISP program, I'm reading the bottom bullet. So we have a program here similar. So if I'm reading it as whatever we give people, you would give up to 50% of that. Paul, is that correct? Up to 25,000? So you can answer that.
Yeah, generally whatever, sorry. Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, apologies for that as well. Yeah, generally whatever Middlesex Center staff in this case would apply for, that could be reimbursed subject to those limits, and tax incremental financing would be outside of that. But it's designed so that each local municipality could have their own programs, and then there's an application process to get that paid back to the local municipality. And the thought process is that it will expand the reach of local municipal funds as well, not replace.
For a couple other things, then in follow on to that, then I don't think we've encouraged people to go to the county when we've granted our program, which I think we call it a community improvement grant. So we should start doing that. Next question is, do we have homelessness in Middlesex County? Can you comment on that? Where is it?
Yeah, I think I'd like to close the loop on the first one. The CISP program is actually you go directly to Middlesex Center or whatever local municipality, and then the relationship between the local municipality and the county. So the applicant goes one shop window to the local municipality, and then the local municipality goes to the county. So the resident or business would still continue just solely to go to the local municipality. It's just a financial relationship between the local municipality and the county, not the applicant.
Okay, so they apply to us, and then how do we get to you? We do as a municipality?
Yes.
Okay, good enough. Next question was, is there homelessness in Middlesex County, and where is it?
Yeah, homelessness is experienced differently in Middlesex County than the city of London, obviously, and also levels of homelessness. But yes, I think our wait list specifically within the county is approximately 225 persons. So it occurs all over the county in all of our communities. And I think what I'd like to do is we can follow up in writing with a bit more details on the specifics of that from Joe, our Director of Human Services. But yes, there is.
Interesting. Last comment, I support your library strategic plan. They've become big centers for other things than just borrowing books and stuff, and I'm sure you know that. So thank you for your comments.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Madam Mayor. So thank you so much for your presentation, Paul. I wanted, Frank actually stole my question because I wanted to understand how that CSP was going to work. So thank you for addressing that. And I'm really glad that you came out to Medway. That's our home school. So we're really proud that you came there and there was those 5 students. I'm wondering if you can just comment about the homelessness with the wait list that you just mentioned. What wait list exactly is that? And could you just speak to that for a moment, Paul? Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you for the question. I don't know if you want to compliment too much about Medway because proud North Middlesex alums. So we were giving them a hard time there about that. Yeah, so the way this works in Middlesex County is there's the consolidated service manager system or service manager, and that's the City of London. And then Middlesex County is sort of unique in the entire province for a separated city county system where for homelessness prevention, children's services early on, and Ontario Works, we have service agreements in place or agency agreements in place where we deliver those services to the county versus the city or the CMSM delivering those to the city. As it pertains to, to the county, as it pertains to housing, we do not have an agency agreement for that, but we do support that. So the social housing, Middlesex County contributes approximately 7.4 million to the City of London, and that's London Middlesex Housing Corporation. And then also on top of that, there's a ton of houses that have agreements with the City of London as a service manager where they get a subsidy on that. So a lion's share of that funding is going to London Middlesex Housing Corporation. But then within the community, Southwest Middlesex is one I'm familiar with, where there's locations that receive that subsidy. So that's really the aspect of that funding. And that's where the by names list comes from. So to get access to that housing, you have to submit and make application for it. And then you get added to the by names list. And that's where that number would come from. And I can provide more comprehensive details in the follow-up written correspondence after this.
Is there anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Through your Madam Mayor to Paul, this isn't more of a question, it's just a plea or a request. We're still working our official plan. It's an ongoing saga, but I've been told if the county has theirs done, ours would go along smoother. So hopefully you get yours done as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't see any hands, so I'm just going to take a moment and say thank you very much for coming out and giving us an in-person update. It's always I find it's always better to have it in color than black and white. And the exciting stuff happening. So we've got a new year coming up. We'll just keep on plugging at our to-do lists and appreciate your time and effort today to give us the baseline that we can work from. So go ahead.
I would just say thank you for the opportunity, and it's a beautiful facility. I've had the opportunity to be here before because Deputy Mayor Brennan was the chair of the planning, and we had our last meeting here. It's a wonderful facility, and wish Middlesex Center and everyone here the best.
Well, thank you. We're enjoying hearing people and having room for people who come and not having to do shift changes.
I
So,
understand. We
yeah,
went through the
thank you.
same thing.
All right. Have a great day. Thank you. All righty, moving on. The next item up is the Asable Bayfield Conservation Authority. And we have Nathan Chollier, Stewardship and Conservation Lands Manager, here in person to provide an update about the Phragmites Management Program. Welcome, Nathan. And if you push the button with the little voice there, and there you are, green, ready to go.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to Phragmites. As mentioned, I'm Nathan Sclair, I'm the Stewardship, Lands, and Education Manager at Asable Bayfield Conservation Authority, one of the conservation authority that works within Middlesex Center. So just in short, who we are, we're a dedicated team of about 30 staff, foresters, planners, biologists, ecologists. It's a dynamic team, small but dedicated, and really our vision and mission statement speak best to what we do. We restore the watershed in partnership with the community, striving to meet the environmental and our needs in balance. And what is Phragmites? Just in a nutshell, it's a tall perennial plant that comes from Eurasia. It grows very densely and creates monocultures, displacing our native species, affecting ecosystems and the ability for our native wildlife, flora, and fauna to exist within those environments. It was deemed Canada's worst invasive plant. And one of the things that I think is most critical about this, and some of this presentation is going to focus on, is it doesn't just affect our environmental or our ecosystems, it affects the number of municipal operations society and poses a number of challenges. One of those would be our roadsides. It's one of our major vectors of spreads is Phragmites along our roadsides. We drive by it, and if I'll apologize with my disclaimer. Once you see Phragmites in this presentation, you're not going to unsee it. And so if you're driving by this afternoon, realizing what it is, you're going to realize how much is out there. And so one of those things that we have is it's a major vector along our roadsides. It's one of the ways it's spread. And here's an example on Elginfield Road of fortunately a recently managed population of Phragmites. And one of the things that we have to consider is what are the costs of having to continuously mow and manage this plant. And we're going to learn shortly about how mowing that plant can actually exacerbate its spread as well. You can see here, because it forms such dense colonies and it enjoys wet areas, it can affect our municipal drains works, which in turn costs us all money through the maintenance of municipal drains. And it doesn't just impact those areas, it can impact our recreational use of properties, agriculture through the municipal drains as it encroaches within field settings, and it can affect many other aspects of how we enjoy our landscape and work within it. And it can even pose some serious safety risks. If we consider that photo on the left, this is a plant that can exceed 10, 12 feet tall. If we have that on bends, intersections, etc., it can pose a real sightline issue alongside our roadways and cause a roadside safety concern. And its dead biomass will stand for multiple years at a time, become very dry and brittle, and can go up like a matchstick. You can see on the photo on our right, that is a photo from the Essex region last year, where a relatively harmless campfire that a couple of kids had in a conservation area encroached into about a 40 or 50 acre field of Phragmites, and in no time flat, the whole thing was consumed. Fortunately, no infrastructure besides the road in that location, but had there been infrastructure, it poses a great deal of concern as a fire safety risk as well. And how does it spread? The most apparent way, if we look at that plant, is the seed head. It does spread through the seed head. It can spread long distances through the seed head, but how it most effectively spreads is once it's established in an area is through the roots. And so you can see on the images on the left, there's two different images. In the top one, you can see that real thick mat of roots and rhizomes that it creates, and you can start to see some fragments within it. And so when you have it in those areas, such as this image along a water shore, as those fragments break off, they're still viable, and they go downstream, they end up lodging lodge in other areas and they establish new stands. And from there, the roots really start to spread. And then in that bottom left image, you'll see that once it is established, it can send out those long rhizomes or stolons. And every single time that it comes to a new node of that plant, it sends a root down and a plant up, and they can just keep growing and growing and growing. So once it's in an area, that's how it most effectively spreads, is through its root colony. And unfortunately, we're pretty good at making it worse. We can unintentionally exacerbate its spread. Municipal drain maintenance, bridge work, et cetera, through that equipment. And not only Phragmites that's there and we're disturbing its roots, but also the equipment might be carrying it as well. And it might be showing up on the equipment that's there. And then sometimes just through unknowingly good intentions and Christmas decorations. The image on the right, you can see where the plant has been, the seed head of the plant has been used, thinking it was a pampas grass in a Christmas decoration. And so there's a number of ways that we can unfortunately unintentionally make this problem worse. To step back into our journey in Phragmites management as the Sawable Bayfield Conservation Authority really comes down to that top line: local awareness equals local action. And unfortunately, sometimes these issues have to get big enough that we realize they're an issue before we do anything. And that was really the case in Port Franks. This quote unquote new invasive species showed up in that area, and it really didn't seem to pose an issue until all of a sudden we couldn't see the lake, we couldn't access our cottages, we couldn't enjoy that recreational area. There was a fire hazard showing up. And so that's when a small group, the Lambton Shores Phragmites Community Group, formed in that area, because it was really, the plant was affecting the needs of not only environment, but the needs of the community as well. So that group formed, and they really brought together a number of partners, including ourselves. And it was really this group that stemmed our involvement in invasive species management. So I have to give credit where credit is due to that dedicated volunteer group. From there, we developed an invasive species strategy. It's a wordy document, but these are the key points within that document: prevent, detect early, respond rapidly, and manage. So to go through what that means, the cheapest way to deal with it is to prevent it from being there in the first place. So that's through staff training, stuff like clean equipment protocols, making sure we're not moving it, making sure we know what it is in the first place. We know what it is, not disturbing it, how to manage it. And then once we know what it is, we can help other people know what it is as well. And that's through the outreach and education. And again, one of those ways that we can do it, as mentioned, is through implementing protocols such as a clean equipment protocol, encouraging some of our contractors or even our own staff when we're moving equipment around to ensure that it's washed between sites. If there's Phragmites present, we employ extra due diligence. We're not exacerbating that spread by moving around not only the root systems, but the seed heads that can be on our equipment. Early detection. Once we know where it is, want to detect it, we have to know what it is. And then when we detect it, we have to know where to report it. And so there's a number of tools that are in place, but I really encourage you to consider the tools that you already have in place. Between our local municipalities, our county partners, oftentimes we have road patrol maps. Those are tools that we can apply in this scenario. We don't have to reinvent the wheel to handle this problem. And then when it is detected, we have to know how to manage it. And so one of the most important things, and this comes back to that detect early and respond rapidly statement, is that we have to have the tools in place to manage it. The cheapest that it's ever going to be is as soon as we detect it. It's kind of like the tree planting scenario. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is tomorrow. Very similar in Phragmites. The best time to do it is to make sure it doesn't show up, but if it is there, deal with it as soon as you can. And that's the cheapest and most effective time that there's ever going to be to deal with it. The longer we let it go, the bigger the problem becomes, the more expensive the problem becomes. So not only is the early detection and rapid response the most effective way to manage Phragmites, it's also the most cost-effective way to manage it as well. So to have the tools and resources in place, that includes licenses, equipment, staff resources, and like anything, the funds as well. So from there, our program developed into three real pillars. So the conservation land, which would be the Sawable Bayfield conservation lands, and that's really that lead by example approach. Private lands, that's our stewardship program, that's supporting private landowners with implementing best management practices on their own properties, and then the municipal lands. And that's what we're going to focus on here today in this presentation. So oftentimes this includes a number of municipal lands and management types: rights of ways, county forests, prior to drain maintenance, although that's not on municipal lands, it's through a municipal process. That's a very important one that we handle. Lagoons, et cetera, et cetera. So we work with municipalities to treat Phragmites really wherever it is on lands that they manage. And the roadside management, that's probably the biggest piece of our program altogether. We're managing almost 2,000 kilometers of roads, and we're doing that with a team of about 3 staff. And so we're able to do it with a very small team, and some of the presentation is going to focus on how we're able to efficiently do that. So the process begins with the mapping. Your initial efforts are always going to be your most resource intensive, because as long as you start to manage it after your initial efforts, it should only decline from there. But the earlier you start, the less effort that's going to be required. And the one thing I always stress is it doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to work. If we do our job right, that map isn't going to have any relevancy in a few years, because the Phragmite is going to be gone. And so that's why I always encourage people to dedicate their resources to the on-the-ground efforts opposed to the mapping itself. This is an example here of the municipality that was one of the very first municipalities that we began working on Phragmites with, and that's how we do mapping. It is pen and paper, and that's perfectly fine. It works every single year. The notification process is one that we really work closely with municipalities to tailor it to their resources, the extent of Phragmites that's available, and we try to find efficiencies. And so you can see on the bottom left corner, there's examples where we've gotten ahead of the Phragmites, or they've got ahead of it in the first place, and there just wasn't that much to begin with, and we just do the old school pesticide notification signs at individual stand locations. Then on a larger scale, such as on the right side, that is managing the entire county of Huron. So there's a lot of roads to be managed in that area. We don't go out and drive the roads every single year to assess where the Phragmites is, to put the notification together. What we actually do is kind of work off of 1 year's data, 1-year-old data, and we work off of any location that was available in, say, 2024 for 2025, and we work on the presumption that there might be a touch-up required. If we show up and there's no Phragmites, that's perfect. But what it's done is it saved us from driving those 2,000 kilometers of roads to assess those locations to find out that it's not there. And so that's how we're trying to find efficiencies and work within the resources for the project by project basis. And the timing, for the management, the timing is critical. If you manage this plant too early in the year, it doesn't seem to be as effective. If it's too hot, it's growing too rapidly, it really seems to be able to top kill it and then come up through it. We try and manage this plant later in the growing season when it's dedicating its resources to the overwintering nature of the perennial plant that it is. And at that time, the herbicide seems to be more effective at translocating. We have a higher effectiveness rate, oftentimes more than 95% on an initial spray for working it. But it has to be, the timing is critical, and it has to be a direct application route. It has to be targeted. The annual maintenance regimes aren't effective because you knock it back a little bit and it gets a few years to grow, and then you revisit it. It's one of those things that you have to identify its location, stay on top of it until it's gone, and then move on. So that's one of the key takeaways from this, is to consider your maintenance regimes in that sense. And then the target application rate. With the boom trucks, those are great, but oftentimes we have these scattered patches or too far in beyond the boom. The tank sprayer in the backpack, and you can see in that image, is a very targeted approach, which is more effective for the management of that plant. And it's also better in terms of the perception in the public nature, because it really demonstrates how we're trying to responsibly use these herbicides as a tool and ensure that it's a very targeted application on the plant. Challenges. It's too hot, we can't spray. If we get a frost, we can't spray. If it's raining, we can't spray. If it's too windy, we can't spray. Weather is one of our biggest challenges we run into every single year. Our goal is to begin management in mid-August, but that is only if temperatures are suitable for us to do so. Communications can be a challenge. We fortunately don't get a lot of communications from the public, which suggests that people are generally supportive of this work. One of the challenges that we run into is actually oftentimes just with our municipal operations staff. Everybody's busy, everybody has their role, and fall mowing coincides with our management. Oftentimes, we either show up and spray a patch and it gets mowed over that afternoon, which reduces its effectiveness, or we show up and it's been mowed recently. So that's one of the things that we're constantly communicating with our municipal partners. And it's not that we can't mow at all, it's that we can't mow those patches. And we're not asking for that in the long term. It's just let us get in, let us manage it, let's get rid of it, and then we can go back to our operation status quo. Management boundaries can be a challenge. And one of our biggest ones in terms of the boundaries is actually the road allowance only extends 33 feet from the center line, and then it's private lands, and how do we get in contact with those people, express the same support for it, provide them resources for doing so. So that's one of our biggest challenges in terms of landscape scale management approach. This is a question I get most often. Are we beyond doing anything? Because when you drive around and you see it everywhere, and you can easily think that. Prioritize your resources within the greater scope of the management, and remember that the only thing that doesn't do anything is not doing anything. And so how do we prioritize and start? Starting can be daunting. Our entire Phragmites program started 10 years ago on this tiny little island in the river in Port Franks called Mosquito Island. And you can see in that image that it's a dense monoculture of Phragmites. We sprayed it in 2011, and then it was cut in 2012. And if we go to the next image, you can see here. Oops, no worries. You can see here that we effectively removed all the Phragmites, the native vegetations, recolonizing the site in 1 year's time. We proved it to ourselves, we proved it to the community, and we've made significant progress in that time. And you can see in the background of that image, that's the island they called the Big Island. That one is consumed by Phragmites at that time, and now there's probably only a handful of Phragmites stems on that whole island. Much of the Port Franks area looked like that. It looked like a jungle of Phragmites, and now it's very scattered stems as we do touch up, and some of that's just in accordance with water level and whatnot. But really a big success story, and it all started off of just proving it to ourselves and proving it to the community on a test plot. Sharing resources and breaking down those management boundaries is a great way to get started. You can see here we're working in partnership with several community groups. We've got the Lambton Shores Phragmites Community Group, the Lambton Shores Nature Trails. We really work together to break down those boundaries and support each other to do so. And in short, we're here to support the community. It's a matter of calling us and figuring out how we can work together to support it. And then employ the early detection and rapid response approach. If we think of the Port Franks matter, it's been quite literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that have had to deal with that program. And if we look at this image on site here, this is a site that we identified when we were out at a local conservation area maintained by a private foundation, and we identified Phragmites, and you can hardly tell that it's a problem in that image, and that's the time that you want to deal with it. And so the project that cost for that was $300, supported 50% by the Huron Clean Water Project. The cost of the landowner was $150, but if we hadn't have dealt with it, who knows where that problem could have gone and what could have been the environmental and the financial expenses of that. And in 2026, what we're working on, we're continuing to be partnering in the Lambton County's Phragmites Management Area. That's in partnership with the Invasive Phragmites Control Center, the County of Lambton, and the St. Clair Conservation Area, managing Phragmites across the county through the Invasive Phragmites Control Fund. We're leading the Phragmites Management Area for Huron County, supported by the Phragmites Control Fund, and that's bringing together all lower tier municipalities and counties, several volunteer groups, private lands, Maitland Valley Conservation Area to apply a regional Phragmites approach. We're working with private landowners to manage Phragmites on their property. We worked with over 30 landowners in 2025, and our interest, I would say, really only went up as the season went on. So our list is growing for 2026. And then again, we're leading by example, and we're managing the Phragmites on our conservation area lands as we find it as well. The one thing with this is the local investments help secure that external funding. So I talked about the Invasive Phragmites Control Fund. The operational budgets, dedicated funds for Phragmites managed by our local member municipalities, our county partners, we're really able to leverage those investments to secure the external funds. And that's how we've been able to employ such a large Phragmites program through this, minimizing the reliance on local dollars. And arguably the most important part of our program is keeping trained boots on the ground to watch for new invaders, because as I've mentioned, if it hasn't come through yet, the early detection and the rapid response is the most effective and cheapest way to deal with new invasive species. And thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for that very thorough, comprehensive overview. I think we've got the message. I will look to council. I'm going to push the button. Okay.
Oh, look at that. I got in front of you. Okay.
Okay. I just going to keep
Well,
pushing it and we'll take
thank you.
whoever. Yeah. Don't turn it off when you're done, Frank. So if you have.
Okay, just
follow-up-
leave it. So I
Yes,
have a few
please.
questions. One is it all herbicides? Or is it cut back and then herbicided? Like, how do you deal with it when you see it? Is it just spray herbicides, take the dead stuff out and respray again? Can you comment on that one first?
Yep, through you, Mayor. That's a good question. It's really tailored to the resources and the site. So at times in smaller scales where herbicides aren't an option, we've used tarping, we've used cut to drown where water levels have permitted to do so. In general, herbicides are the primary source management tool that is employed, largely to do with the resources that are available and it's the most efficient way to handle it.
Okay, so we see this everywhere. I see this everywhere off in ditches. 33 feet from the center line over is what we can deal with. If you want to, if a private landowner, and it does encroach into the private lands too, what is the plan there? Do we just tell them, if they come to us, we say, well, there's these herbicides and you can buy them yourself and spray them on your own property? Is that how it works on the private landowners?
That's another good question. One of the best things to do if they come to you, we're happy to take the phone call. There are other conservation authorities that we work with offer similar programs. You can direct them to the conservation authorities. They often have programs to support it and they might have external funding that they can use to support the landowners. In other areas, we've used outreach tools such as social media, notices upon tax slips. When we have the external funding, such as in Huron and Lambton counties, it can generate a lot of excitement for that support when we're able to convey to landowners that, hey, we're able to support you with this issue and we have the funding to do so. And so there's a series of tools that we employ to do that. But in short, if people inquire, we're happy to work with them.
Okay, last question isn't for you, Rob. Do we have a Phragmites program in Middlesex Center? Do we deal with it at all, or?
Through the mayor, so to Council Burton, not specifically for Phragmites, we do roadside spraying, but the invite to Nathan to come here was what I was hoping was going to be kind of kicking off the discussion around this. So yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Very good comment, Rob. So I had some questions and now you, since your great presentation, I've got some more. So that was my thing is because I get asked about them often. And so in the Kamoka Kilworth area, we have a lot of private ponds and privately owned, and some people really care and some people don't, and don't want to do anything or give money towards it. Maybe it's a jointly owned pond or such. So then it becomes the question of where do they go and what do they do? In Middlesex Center, we have 5 conservation authorities. And if these, specific lands aren't on conservation, you know what I mean? The conservation isn't at their property. How do you know who to call? And you've really shown us what's available and said that there is things that are available. And I wasn't sure when I've talked about this before that maybe it was the county has somebody that does some invasive species, but maybe we're going to be talking about it more, which is really good to hear. Let me just look at my notes here. The other thing I wanted to remember was because when you, at the very end there, you mentioned about other things, because we see a lot of the autumn olive coming now as well. Is that kind of creeping up the radar is getting too invasive?
So we see autumn olive in certain locations and fortunate for us, we have the unfortunate hard learning lesson that it was once used in our reforestation practices, and this is going back several decades. It seems like a silly thing to do now, but we might not have realized that had someone not have thought it was a good thing to do. So we've learned from those lessons, and so there are areas that we see that. The prioritization is the number one word with invasive species management because the resources are limited. And so there's certain ones that we prioritize. Big ones for myself would be dog strangling vine, which fortunately I don't think has taken a hold here. And so that's the best thing to happen. And to keep an eye and manage it if it does is a good thing to happen. The Phragmites, the giant hogweed, because it's invasive plus has a real human health concern, and Japanese knotweed are some of the ones that I really prioritize. But anytime the resources are available to manage those invasive species, it's a good thing to do.
Okay, thank you. So you talked about the stewardship program. So in thinking of individual ponds that are privately owned, but then you talk about 2,000 kilometers of the roadside. So obviously the roadside isn't conservation property either. So it's a joint effort. And so I guess that's one of the things is to go back to what I said, is the joint effort going to be for private pond owners? Because on one hand, when it's spread so bad, if you go to all of this effort to get it done on, you know, roadsides, et cetera, but then you've still got it growing and spreading on private ponds. That's one of my comments that I wanted to bring up. And again, when you talked about the communication as being one of your things, because I think that it does leave landowners are left, you know, those that care or those that understand. Let me say that those that understand what the real issue really is who do they call and who can help them. So I think that's all of my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It's obvious that the Asaba Bayfield has a real program and a real aggressive program to handle this. Is that the same with all conservation authorities? Like, do you work together and have the same program? Because I don't see it happening in our area. I don't see any real spraying happening or anything else. The county cuts the roadsides and they cut it every year back for what they can. And then the rest is continues to grow there. And so I'm just wondering if the program you have is county-wide, or if it's just your conservation authority that's doing it, or, you know, are the other ones doing the same?
Thank you. No, that's a great question. The one thing we all have in common is with our stewardship programs, they're grassroots programs, meeting people with where they're at to support their environmental initiatives. And we're really working to support the local level through our programs. And so that's that one real common pillar of conservation authorities in our stewardship programs. We all employ that a little bit differently on the landscape because there might be conservation authorities across the province that aren't faced with the Phragmites problem. And I'm very envious of them. But then but they might have other challenges. And so they really tailor their stewardship programs to the local needs. And that's one of the strengths of our stewardship programs as conservation authorities as a whole. Locally, in terms of Phragmites management, we all have Phragmites programs within this, within the 5 conservation authorities that work with the Middlesex Center, to my knowledge. I reached out to them to let them know they were coming. They're all very excited to hear that we were coming to have this discussion today. And they provided me a little bit of insight on their Phragmites management around their watershed. And they're all doing work within Middlesex County to some degree. And I would be happy to sit down around the table with the municipality, the county partners, the conservation authorities, and really come up with a plan to manage invasive species in Middlesex County.
Okay.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I want to say you guys stole all my questions, but I still have a couple more. Thank you so much, Nathan, for educating us on Phragmites today. I'm part of the Upper Thames Conservation Area, and I've never heard this from them yet. So thank you so much for educating us on that. And I want to educate them a little bit on this, even though I'm sure they've got a handle on it. I just hadn't heard of it from them. So thank you on that. I'm hoping that you can work with our team here to help them create a program. So that's what I'm asking for from you today, because I think we could do a better job educating our residents, maybe in our little billboards that we send out or on social media, some opportunities to connect to the invasive Phragmites control center, because I did get to speak with them when we were at AMO. They had a booth there. I don't know if you were there, but I remember speaking to them there, and that was the first time I've ever actually heard of this plant. Even though I've been seeing it, I just didn't recognize what it was. So I think it would be great if you could actually work with our team to create a plan, and then also speak with the county, because if you, as you just heard, they do a lot of the maintenance in our area and around our county, obviously. So it would be great if you could also educate them as you did for us today. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Nathan, years ago, Nathan, I heard the process, they used to burn them in the winter, burn the tops off the Phragmites. I guess that would kill the seeds, but you're saying the roots are still the problem. The roots can move downstream and cause other problems, but have you ever heard of that, burning them in the winter, burning the tops off them?
Yep. it's something that we do. We don't do it as a sole management tool. It's not an effective means at killing the plant itself. What it is an effective means at is when you're dealing with really, really large, dense expanses of it, is removing the dead biomass. So instead of searching for the needle in the haystack in your subsequent management years, it stands out as sore thumbs. And so it's really to enhance the efficiency of follow-up treatments. Fortunately, in more patches than not, they aren't large enough to require that tool. But on the opening slide of my presentation, where there was the two people on the high vis with the drip torch there, that's actually what we've been doing in the Port Franks area, is using controlled fire to remove the biomass in the winter to enhance our management in the following year.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Nathan. I'm a farmer, so I've got unlimited herbicide resources. So if I got a patch, I have a license. So if I have a patch that you want it when it start to translocate, so that's like late August, September, it's kind of like killing a dandelion, I believe. What chemical should I use and what rate should I use? And how much water?
Presuming that you're working under one of the exemptions of the Pesticides Act, I would recommend that you use a glyphosate-based product. They change the ones quicker than about as quick as I can keep up with as to which one is the labeled one. So you keep on top of that, and then we apply it at the max rate for the plant or for the label.
Okay, and that'd be like late August, early September, or?
Yeah, if you're getting cooler nights but not frost, and you're not getting those 30-degree days, that seems to be when it's most effective.
Okay, thank you.
I think we've been around the horseshoe. Lots of good questions. I just wanted to make a comment. Well, first, I have a question. About 4 or 5 years ago, the last time I was at OGRA, there was a exhibit that showed a cutting system that was being used. And the project was at St. Clair, I think near the First Nations, Lake St. Clair. And you were talking about the beach area locally here. Does that system, I think the idea was that it wouldn't add chemicals to the water, and it was cut and then wait till it comes up and cut again. And then I guess ultimately everything inside rots and then the plant dies on its own. Was that a reasonable way of doing things? Do you know anything about that system? Is it something that would work? Because I know at the ponds too, it gets into the water. And I'm just thinking we have a lot of areas where there are creeks and streams, well, 5 conservation authorities. So we've got like 5 bodies of water running through farms ending up in a lake in a different watershed. So is that a safe way of doing things? Has that gone by the wayside? Do you know anything?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's a good question. And that goes back to the question about our management techniques and if we only use herbicide. And that's another great example about how it's very site by case and how we apply it within the Port Franks area. On the low side, I'm going to guess we've probably employed half a dozen different management techniques within that area. And that would be one of them. So the truck sawer is a piece of equipment that you're referring to, but it's a very niche piece of equipment and it requires enough water depth that you can cut the Phragmites deep enough that what you're trying to do is get it down low enough that photosynthesis can occur to the water and you're drowning it. And so it's a very niche piece of equipment, but it's effective when you have the conditions to employ it.
All right, good. I'm going to stop with the questions. I do have one more. Thank you, Rob, for suggesting this update. I think it's more than timely. And I think, the other thing I should mention is County Council had an update from the county forester, I think it was last month. And this topic was on the agenda and there was an update about where it is. And I think a couple of years before that, the update was about experimental spraying. And I think it was towards North Middlesex in that area of the county. I don't recall for sure, but I know it's on different people's radars. I think it's a good idea that you've suggested that we work together and figure it out. And I think challenges here are the 5 conservation authorities. We have to figure out how to work with everyone, but I think, yeah, I've got 3 spots that I know of on our concession between the boundary and the boundary. And then there's another spot, and then the pit that Margaret and those guys did. So it's all around. So yeah, we need to get on it. thank you so much for your time and all of the information you've presented. I think we covered a lot of content, so I think you'll be hearing from us. Thank you so much. Oh, and I apologize for messing up your last name.
Not a problem. Wasn't the first time, won't be the last.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you.
All right, thanks again. Okay, moving on. The minutes of the previous council, we have a motion to adopt that the minutes of the Middlesex Centre Council meeting held on the 15th of October 2025 be adopted as printed. Could I have a mover, please, and a seconder? Councillor Shipley and Councillor Burrs, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to consent agenda, we're pulling, I didn't circle it here. 7.1, that's the one. We're going to pull 7.1. Is there anything else somebody, oh, sorry, 7.9. And I have Deputy Mayor, did you want one pulled?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 7.3 and 7.8.
7.3 and 7.8. And Councillor Cates,
I'm just looking for where it is. It
Okay.
must be 7:10.
7.10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go through them in order. So first,
I'm wrong. It's not it. That's not it. Sorry.
okay, we can start. I'll get your number in a minute. Do you want to go ahead, Deputy? You had number 7.3 and 7.8.
Yeah, I just, if the CEO could just give us a little further update, if this passes, which I'm assuming it will, how that will help us go faster.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through the Deputy Mayor to members of council. This is legislation that has been tabled, just another piece of legislation to help reduce what the provincial government sees as more bureaucratic red tape. And so if this does get passed, and we're assuming that it will, there are certain pieces of the legislation that has been broken down to the various themes. So the themes are noted in your staff report. Building homes and communities, fighting delays at the tenant and landlord and tenant board, and keeping people moving. The two things that I would highlight here are just the first theme being with respect to building homes and communities. They're looking at additional steps. So they're going to be looking to municipalities in terms of how we can look at making things more efficient. And that is something in terms of how to speed up construction. So there's an opportunity for the municipality to look at how the development process can be expedited. And so there'll probably be incentives attached to that, and looking at how we can automate more our processes and look at how we can expedite how development can pursue. In terms of keeping people moving, in terms of the last theme, what they are looking at there is in terms of just the mobility of goods, the mobility of people. And so what I would say to you on that one is that there's going to be opportunities, and it's more focused on larger urban centers with respect to transit infrastructure. But having said that, there's probably an opportunity for infrastructure opportunities to look at tying that to our transportation system, so that we can look at seeing development coordinate with that to move people, and how we plan our neighborhoods and how we plan our growth of the municipality will be tied to that. So in essence, it's more legislation that's going to be looking at how we can reduce and we can be seen as reducing how we streamline, how we can improve our development processes. There's also notation in the staff report with respect to changes to the Development Charges Act and to the Ontario Building Code. And so I know our Director of Building and Bylaw is working with his chapter in terms of some of the changes in the Building Code Act. And there's also notation in the staff report with respect to the Development Charges Act and the changes in terms of the issuance of and the payment of when DCs are to be collected. And so staff are doing an internal review on that process right now to see if there's any implication or ramification on that process as well. So we are very mindful, and we thought it'd be important to bring this report to council just to put it on your radar. And then as things come through passage, we'll provide further reports.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is the next item 7.8, or do you have no, Councillor Cates? No? Okay, go ahead, Deputy, 7.8.
Okay, this, I guess, is through to Tiffany. Is this a province-wide downturn on the claims for WSIB, and that's why there's so much money being given back, or is it our municipality specifically that we've had less claims and that's why we're getting money back.
So through you, Mayor DeVite, it is province-wide. There are requirements in order to receive the surplus back. So within WICB, there will be a lot of municipalities as well as businesses receiving this surplus. You do have to be like a Schedule 1, I believe a Schedule 1 employer, and meet other criteria. The municipality has met those, so we have received that funding in our account at this time. We are still waiting on any correspondence from WICB directly, but yes, we are not alone in that.
And Councillor Coles, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. So this is for 7.9 application, part lot control and clear skies. So I just wanted to bring this forward to staff, and it's for to Rob or other staff members. I've received lots of emails from residents expressing concern about the slow progress of Clear Skies subdivision. So I had a few questions for you. I actually have 4 questions. And in order to actually better understand the whole situation over the last year, I had several discussions with municipal staff. I met with representatives from the developer. I spoke with a local real estate agent and a home builder in the area, all in the interest of transparency. And I want to ensure that council has this necessary information to make informed decisions regarding the proposed changes here. So I just want to ask staff these 4 questions. So starting with number 1, so could staff please provide a status update on phases 1 and 2, please?
Through the mayor to Councillor Coles. So again, I'm happy to answer questions. I'm just going to point out I'll answer questions on phase 1 and phase 2, but I don't want to complicate the issues between phase 1 and phase 2 with phase 3 because they're completely separate agreements. So as far as the status update with phase 1, it's essentially complete. So that means that they submit their completion certificate, and when the municipality deems it to be complete, we issue a certificate of provisional acceptance. There's essentially only a single item that's holding that up that we're looking to deal with over the next 2 months and have that issued before the end of the year. And phase 2, generally all the works are complete, but the issue there is that they have not reached their build out level. So there's still a number of vacant lots within the phase. They're required to hit 85% build out prior to getting their completion certificate for that phase.
Thank you very much. It's good to hear that we're almost there, almost to the finish line. So could staff comment on the current level of compliance with the subdivision agreement?
Specifically, I'm not sure if you're looking at any specific issues with compliance, but we don't consider them to be in default of the agreement. There is a portion of the agreement that identifies that they were to achieve completion within 3 years or request an extension. They have not been able to do that because they did not have build out in time to do that. We don't consider them in default because we've never called them on the fact that they have not received or that they have not completed in 3 years. And just to confirm that, I have had a discussion with our legal counsel as well, and that is her interpretation too.
Thank you. The third question I have is, I understand we're currently in phase 3, correct me if I'm wrong. Could staff speak to the rationale for advancing to phase 3 before phases 1 and 2 have been fully completed and assumed?
So I'd say it's typical to move into the next phase of development before the prior phase is complete. Developers typically don't want to wait till 85% completion of one phase before commencing the next. So the phase 3 agreement was executed, I believe, in 2023. So the fact that this part lot control exemption request has come up has nothing to do with whether phase 3 can proceed. The phase 3 agreement is already signed and there's already construction underway. And that's going to be ongoing. Each phase is a separate agreement. We can make a decision whether we move forward with phase 4, depending on the extent of lots that are available in the previous phases. But I'd also point out that the type of units that are being considered under the part lot control exemption are a different type of units than what is left in phase 2 and phase 1.
Thank you for clarifying that those units are different, because I think that's important here. The last question I have for you, thank you for answering my questions, Rob, is could you explain how the proposed, what we're talking about, this proposed bylaw might impact the timing, design, or delivery of that plant parked within the subdivision?
Yep, through the mayor, Councillor Coles, I'd say the bylaw will have no effect on the timing of the park. It's kind of an independent decision. I guess the only way that I would see it having an effect is that ideally it helps phase 3 to progress further, and you're going to have more demand for the park with more residents building there or living there. But the park land itself is part of phase 3, but the development of it was intended to be part of phase 4 because there's some servicing to be completed from the phase 4 lands into the park land. And I have commenced discussions with Sifton about potentially the municipality taking assumption of the park early if community service is looking to develop it prior to the typical assumption timeframe for phase 3. And I'm just going to point out to before I add is that if you have any questions or want to kind of understand the part law control exemption process, Dan's happy to speak to that specific part of it too.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rob. I appreciate it.
And I don't see anything else. In that case, we have a motion before us, and that is, go back to the, oops, is that items 7.1 through 7.10 listed under the heading of consent agenda for November 5th, 2025 be adopted as recommended. If I give a mover, please, Councillor Cates and Councillor Coles. I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that was unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item 8, we have staff reports now. The first item up is a Fire Services Master Plan progress update, and I have the Deputy Fire Chief, Scott Roper, will be presenting that. When you're ready, Scott.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This is to update council on the current progress and prioritization of the recommendations as noted in the 2023 Fire Service Master Plan, and it's for information only. In 2023, Fire Services Master Plan review accomplished identifying various internal and external goals. One of them was the recommendation of efficiencies concerning organizational capacity and response with the focus on the use of digital technologies. Today, I'm going to update on our RMS, our record management system that we've been working on. It's number 15 on the progress update appendix. Our RMS consists of a number of modules, and basically we're focused on merging multiple areas into one centralized location. Some of the modules that we are looking at and updating and implementing are the personal management side, centralized personal profiles, tracking of expiring dates like driver's licenses, response tracking of real-time incident response logging, integrated with our CAD system, our computer-aided dispatch, incident documentation, which is compliant with our reporting with the Ontario Fire Marshal, which is reviewed quarterly. Pre-planning, which is going to be a huge benefit to our firefighters while responding to incidents, where they are able to access interactive mapping of structures, occupancy details and hazards of the addresses they're responding to. Training, course creation and management, the attendance and completion of tracking of all our firefighters in accordance with the certification of the province of Ontario. Events and activities like pub ed events, school activities, community engagement events. Departmental assets, aligned with our citywide corporation asset program. Things like inventory tracking, vehicles, maintenance, and equipment we have at the stations, as well as the maintenance schedule and logs. We're also implementing into there our hydrant location, which through cloud base and our tablets on each of our vehicles, the responding captains or the responding firefighters will be able to know exactly where hydrants are, as well as the information given to us through dispatch. Benefits of the RMS program is a unified platform. It replaces multiple legacy systems with a single cloud-based solution. Improved efficiency. It reduces data duplication and manual entry, especially with our fire prevention officer who's currently basically right now doing like double duty on stuff. So this just implements it into one system. Enhanced accuracy, real-time updates validated to ensure data integrity. Mobile accessibility, field access from our tablets and from smartphones. And scalability, it supports future growth and additional modules as needed. One of the features that we're looking at adding possibly into 2026 is a public engagement forum where we can grant access to residents or owners of commercial businesses where they can actually input this information into our system for us. So things like, you know, different hazards, working with our FPO, things that are just going to benefit the firefighters, again, as we're responding to those calls. Overall, these enhancements for our fire department is only going to benefit the entire department. It's going to have accurate data, and every firefighter will have their limited access to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll look to Councillor. Are there questions on this report? No hands. Oh, wait, sorry, Councillor Cates, go ahead.
Thank you. Good report. Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Good report. I think it all sounds great.
Thank you.
I did have one question. For those of us who, the first response wouldn't be from Middlesex Centre, are we aware of what the status of that quick communication and like, how does that work for us? Will we benefit from this kind of technology? Or is it is it standard? I'm just wondering, it occurred to me, I thought, okay, I know what's happening here. How does that affect me? It's all about me, right?
Sorry, could you just repeat that question? I'm just.
Okay, so I live, the first responders are not Middlesex Centre.
Yeah.
Right? And I just found that out when, yeah, the chief's nodding. So with respect to this process, the software that you're using and so forth, is that standard across Middlesex County in all areas?
It is across like the province. So
Okay.
the neighboring department that would respond to your area would have the exact same stuff. They
Data.
get their information through the CAD system or their RMS, whichever they are using.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's an integrated process across everyone. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Thank you. That's the only thing I had. So we do have a motion before us, and that is that the report FES 2020, number 7, 2025 regarding Fire Services Master Plan Progress Update be received for information. I have Councillor Cates and Councillor Arts. Thank you. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you very much for that report. And now we can move on to item 8.2, elimination of automatic speed cameras, the motion, and our clerk is going to lead that. Okay. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor DeVete. Through Mayor DeVete to members of council, as you may recall, there was a request for a report regarding this draft resolution just 2 weeks ago at our last meeting, October 15th. Since that time, Bill 56 repealing the use of automated speed enforcement cameras was introduced to the Ontario legislature. It's received first, second, and third and final reading and was passed. And Bill 56 received royal assent this past Monday and is already in force. So the bill was rather fast-tracked with limited debate and no public hearings. And I understand a deadline of November 14th has been set for the removal of municipal speed enforcement cameras. So I understand that we do not have municipal speed enforcement cameras within Middlesex Centre or further within the OPP policed areas of Middlesex County. However, at this time, council may opt to receive the report for information. If council still wishes to submit formal opposition to the elimination of speed enforcement cameras for the record, it may still choose to endorse the resolution, draft resolution attached to the report, or you may wish to direct staff to develop a more specific response to this aspect of Bill 56. That said, in the past 2 weeks, the legislation has been introduced, passed, and is already in force.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for that background and the context in which we're going to have, I hope, a conversation. I see. Go ahead, Councillor Burrs.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to thank the clerk for pulling that and putting it on the agenda today. this is an AMO resolution, so obviously they've researched it and posted out or posed it out there for consideration. Everything I've read indicates there's significant public support for these cameras. And I know that the legislation is passed. It was rushed through. It's a provincial government initiative now to eliminate all these cameras on November 14th. I, for one, don't see any reason why we can't support this to at least lodge our support for the AMO resolution, because things may change in the future. I don't know if they will, but there's nothing wrong with supporting this. I would make that motion to support it as written. No.
Okay, and I see Councillor Cates, you have a comment?
I do, sorry. So if we're starting off with the recommendation, I also recommend that we support this to oppose the elimination. One thing that I was very disappointed in seeing when this all came about on the news and stuff was that I think that was a really missed opportunity to promote better driving habits with people. It was all about the speeding, and clearly if there's that much people getting tickets, there's clearly is a problem. And it was a missed opportunity to even talk about that. It's rampant everywhere. People are just, I'm not even going to stop at stop signs. The other guy will. The speeding and the passing school bus um, lights, like it's just rampant all over, and more could have been done to promote better driving habits. And, I think that the other thing that I personally feel is that they could have done something to at least amend the tolerance of the speed camera. You hear people, I got one for, 3 over or whatever, like just amend the tolerance. But I don't agree with just eliminating it completely. I think that the message is still needed. Slow down, drive smart. At the end of the day, it's our own neighbors and children that we're protecting. So I'm all in favor of supporting the AMO resolution to oppose the elimination. Yeah, we got to ensure the safety of all road users. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, then we should take it. That would be option number 1 recommendation.
Well, both of those.
Yeah, and we is it? Yeah, okay. Oh, I just wanted to add the other part of it. I'm sorry, it just occurred to me. Further to Councillor Cates' comments, the other part of it, of course, is that this is simply a ticket. It's not demerits. It doesn't affect your insurance. So we're not taking anyone's livelihood away. Yeah. So I too favor this motion. So, okay, it's before you in your document, but I'll just read it. That report CLK number 06/2025 regarding the AMO resolution reporting the elimination of automatic speed enforcement cameras be received, and that Middlesex Centre Council opposes the elimination of the automatic speed enforcement cameras per the draft resolution attached to said report. And do I have a mover, please? Councillor Burrs, Councillor Cates. I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, and thanks for that effort to bring this forward. Okay, there are no notices of motion, and so we can go to correspondence. Do councillors wish to speak to anything, highlight anything in that list of correspondence? I don't see any hands. In that case, the recommendation before us is that Council of the Municipality of Middlesex Centre receives correspondence items 10.1 through 10.7 for information. A mover, please, and a seconder, Councillor Coles and Councillor Shipley. I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that's carried. And now I'll look to Deputy Mayor Brennan, who will provide us with an update on County Council meeting held on the 4th of November. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As everyone was aware, we talked about the proposal by Middlesex Centre to the county to eliminate the one step in the planning process. The motion was that the county had put forward was not to accept it. that motion was defeated, which meant there should have been another motion, but instead there was a motion to go in camera. And the rest of what happened was in camera, so I really can't talk about what happened in camera. So right now it's still an ongoing thing. So we had 5 students warden per day yesterday, which is really good to see. Quite a diverse bunch of students for as the warden and the CEO mentioned. There's 4 from Medway and 1 from Statutory Caradoc, so that was a good day for them. We also dealt with long-term service awards. There were 21 paramedics with 12 years and 12 paramedics with 22 years of service. County awards, there were 6 people with 25 years, 2 with 30, 2 with 35, and 1 with 40. So there's quite a group. They weren't all there, but there was quite a group with long service for the county. KPMG audit findings, there was virtually a clean audit, and we received the consolidated financial statements for the county. And at this point, everything is looking good at this point in time. There's a boundary roads maintenance agreement with Perth South, which means any road that is between the 2 municipalities, Middlesex Center will cover some maintenance and Perth South covers some maintenance, and then the costs are shared back between each other. So there's those agreements were put in place. The county archives feasibility study is to be debated November 25th for the to see if it will be put in for the 2026 budget, and that'll be a study for the archives and what we will be doing going forward there. Warden announcements for the upcoming year. 3 counselors put their name forward to serve as warden in the next year. Alan Mayhew, mayor from Southwest, Sue Clark, mayor from Adelaide Metcalfe, and Mike McGuire, deputy mayor from Statutory Caradoc. They all put their names forward. OFA Colin Crispin attended to give us an outline on what's going on with what they're doing and everything going on with agriculture in the community. The CUSA agreement, a big part of that is what's going on with U.S. goods, and that's gonna affect everybody. I think this, as that plays out, what Mr. Trump is doing. Loss of ag lands costs more for municipalities than anything else. If the more times you lose agricultural land, then it probably means it's going into development and there's more cost for the municipality to endure with services. Homelessness, we had as I alluded to earlier, homelessness prevention is all part of with the city, and we get some monies. We have different things that we do as far as homelessness. We have there's a motel out in Adelaide Metcalfe where if someone needs someplace to stay for a day or two, they can go out there. There are spots there that the county pays for and has access to year round. We had an RFP for Strathmere Lodge for alignment review and master plan, and that's going to cost us about $42,000 to update those plans. Middlesex County year-end report showed a surplus of about $75,000. There was more surplus, but some of it had to go to deficits and some of the budgets, so there was $75,000 left, and that will be going in the tax stabilization reserve fund. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that update. I'll look to council. Is there anything that you want to ask about clarification? No? Okay. There's a lot going on there. So we can now move on to other business. Does any councillor wish to raise any other item? Okay, seeing none. And now we have a closed session. We're going to consider items under the that we're permitted to do so under the Municipal Act 2001 and is listed on today's agenda. So the recommendation before us is that the Council for the Municipality of Middlesex Centre adjourn to closed session at 10:54 a.m. pursuant to Section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. There's one item pursuant to Section 2F regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, and under 2K regarding a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And this is with regard to insurance program update. So could I have a mover, please, to go in and Councillor Shipley and Councillor Arts, thank you. All in favor? And that is